Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council. Thank you for your patience this evening. It is Monday, May 13th, 2024 at 7:06 p.m. Tonight we have one committee of the whole meeting with 6 agenda items. The first item tonight is the Southeast Ohio Recycling Terminal Council of Governments. I'd just like to say a few things about the creation of the SORT COG. This was sort of the negotiation of the documents for this COG were launched in a meeting in Nelsonville led by the Athens Hocking Solid Waste District on January 8th, 2024. Negotiating entities from numerous regional counties, cities, villages, and other entities have met over the past 4 months under the leadership of the Athens Hocking Solid Waste District to come to the agreement and the bylaws that council members have on their drive for this meeting, so officially submitted to City Council for this meeting. There is a 7-page agreement and a 5-page set of bylaws. And I'd like to just read from the agreement. If I can get my computer to load. Agreement for the establishment of the Southeast Ohio Recycling Terminal Council of Government. Whereas we, the representatives of the municipalities and entities in Southeast Ohio, recognize that many of the problems and needs confronting the region are independent of political boundaries, that any solutions to our problems and the programs that we formulate to meet our common needs will have a greater chance of success if they are undertaken jointly and in a cooperative manner. And whereas we believe that this goal can best be achieved through cooperative efforts by the regional municipalities, other governmental subdivisions, and other qualifying entities. This involves economies of scale to meet regional challenges which may be beyond our individual capabilities, and provides a means of communication, cooperation, and joint action in the interest of the members individually and collectively. And whereas the Southeast Ohio Recycling Terminal Council of Government will seek to facilitate cooperation among municipalities, other governmental subdivisions, and other qualifying entities in Southeast Ohio area for the purpose of managing solid waste through a regional approach to sustainability, thereby increasing landfill diversion, building commonalities across regional communities and their opportunities for recycling access and proper disposal, bolstering circular economies through reduction, reuse, and recycling, as well as giving members direct control over solid waste management. As I mentioned, these documents are quite lengthy, and I'm very thankful to the negotiating team which put in the time and the effort to come to these final documents that City Council, as well as other entities in Southeast Ohio, are considering. And I just want to note that membership, Article 2 of the agreement, does note that the initial members of the council shall be the village of Amesville, Ohio, and the Athens Hocking Solid Waste District, and that for other entities to be admitted, the governing body of the entity must have executed a resolution or ordinance, as appropriate, agreeing to the agreement and the bylaws of the council. So Athens City Council now has these documents in front of us, and we will be able to have a discussion tonight about any plans to join the COG, to petition to the board to be members of the SORT Council of Government. I won't go into details of the bylaws that were also a part of the negotiating, but perhaps we'll have some more information tonight on both the agreement and the bylaws. I'd like to first open this up to the Committee of the Whole, council members here present, to see if they have any comments about the documents in front of us. We are also fortunate to have members of the negotiating committee from city administration here tonight, as well as Jane Forrest Redfern, the executive director of the Athens Hocking Solid Waste District, who can come forward and answer some questions. Member Spielness.
Well, I know that a lot of thought and effort has gone into creating these documents, which seem pretty solid to me. I'm assuming that our attorneys have looked at it too, and I respect their opinions on matters. I guess the most obvious question, assuming that people agree with these agreements and bylaws, is what's the next step? And what will make Athens decide to join?
It's a good question. Ms. Redfern, please.
Jane Forrest Redfern, Director of the Athens Hocking Solid Waste District. The next step for the Solid Waste District in the village of Amesville we're going to have the first meeting on Thursday to form the COG, and then we will submit it to the state of Ohio, and after 30 days, without any problems, which we can't imagine there would be, then we would be officially the SORT Council of Governments. For the city of Athens, Nelsonville, Logan, and any other jurisdiction that would like to join, all you would have to do is pass a resolution or ordinance, whatever your body of law is, and submit a letter to the board of the COG, and then we vote on your admission. You would pay $500 as membership fees and take a seat. Each member gets one vote, and you would join the board, and we would then move forward with the COG.
And if I understand correctly, that becoming a member of the COG is becoming a member of this Council of Governments, obviously. But then would be the question about what services any individual entity may or may not choose to request from the COG.
Right. It's basically a menu of services that any member would want. For instance, the city of Logan is considering doing curbside recycling, but leaving trash up to whatever hauler people would want. So they would kind of do a recycling franchise. A jurisdiction might want to join the COG to get a discount on composting or recycling or that kind of thing. All of the current contracts, including the solid waste districts, the city of Nelsonville, Ohio University, among others, would transfer over to the Council of Governments once formed officially. So those would all transfer over and begin operations as the COG.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments for, yes, Member Spielness?
I think I was trying to be more specific about what the city, I'm looking at you guys, what you're feeling about the agreements are. Are you proposing that we do this? I mean, is this where we're at right now? You're agreeing that this is okay, and you'd like to move forward? Is that an understanding we have?
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to that for sure. Yes, you have the documents in front of you, and now the vote is to council in terms of deciding whether or not you want to join the COG. But I'll let Andy speak in more detail. He's been in all the negotiations over the agreement and the bylaws, but the intention of this now being before council is to opt or not to become a member of the COG.
I recommend joining at this point. I participated in the negotiations and with all the other governmental entities that are looking at it. And, it was important to have everyone have a general agreement about these two documents, the agreement and the bylaws, before it got started, because the different types of political subdivisions have different timelines. So the solid waste district, the village of Jamesville can move much faster than a city can by their just the nature of the way that they execute their laws. I mean, I come to this body, it's 7 weeks for any type of activity plus 30 days, right? They can move faster than that. And so they didn't want to move faster unless the 3 cities that were participating were in agreement with the structure of the documents. And there were some concerns in the beginning about the various elements of the agreement, and we hammered those out. And I think it's a good set of documents now. The bylaws can change with the vote of the board over time, but the agreement is what you are ultimately agreeing to. And then these are the bylaws as of now that would be attached to this agreement when you pass it, if you do pass it.
Member Clodfelder.
And just to be certain, though I suspect I know the answer, have the city's lawyers reviewed this document?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hang on, let me step back. The City of Athens lawyers in detail have reviewed this document.
And have they approved it?
You know, at the end of the day,
Okay.
lawyers give advice. They
Yeah.
don't, for communities, they don't rule on anything, but as far as approval as to form and as far as concerns that they had as well, yes, they've said that this is a good document.
Okay.
Let me add to that as well. Council recognizes, Law Director Lisa Eliason had to recuse herself from the process of reviewing these documents, that leaving the Assistant Law Director to go through. And she did a great job, but this isn't her area of expertise, so we had a third party. We had an external lawyer who has done a number of COGs and worked on COG language, whether it's bylaws and agreements, or just the formation of the COG. So we feel that with the input that we received from that third party, that it's in good shape.
Member Spelman, or Member Wood, let's go to Member Wood
Yeah, go
first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just to make the implicit, explicit for those of us that weren't involved in the discussions, I'm curious what this actually means in terms of the things we've been discussing the last couple of weeks in council as far as our other contracts and relationship to a track at all. Does this impact that at all? And also, I'm curious. Well, I'll stop at that part. And also, if it resolves to your satisfaction, the element of the weighted voting topic that came up at some point, that was proportional or not. Those are 2 separate discussion points, but I'm curious about both.
So I'll answer your second question first, and I don't know that I fully understand the first question, but the second question first, if you go to Article 5, portion B10, there's a requirement in the agreement that the method of voting be reviewed by the board every 3 years. And so, we thought that was sufficient to meet the concerns that we had. If you would restate your first question, I didn't fully understand it.
We've had a lot of requests, hi friends, to join a COG, and various foundations of that. Obviously, a lot of parties involved in that are here, and those of us on council that weren't part of that discussion. I guess I'm curious what this actually means in terms of who we contract with services for. What does this obligate us to in the future?
Well, it doesn't obligate the city to do anything other than to join at this point. The structure, as far as how the COG is envisioned to work, is that the assets, the non-mortgaged assets that belong to Athens Hockey and Recycling Center will be transferred to the Council of Governments and will continue to operate as Ms. Redfern noted under the current contracts that Athens Hockey and Recycling Center has, and then the Council of Governments will be the entity that will be the successor or assign of HRCs for the contracts. And I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis on that, so I might defer to them, but I think that's the intent.
In response?
Thank you for your patience. So, I know that it has to be at least two entities in order to form a COG. And I'm curious why Athens didn't choose to be one of those.
I'll reiterate what I said a moment ago about the timeline that it takes people to execute things. So, we all wanted to make sure that the agreement was acceptable for all of the government entities involved. However, the Solid Waste District and the Village of Amesville have a much faster process by which they can agree to do something like this, whereas a city with an ordinance, and not only Athens City, but City of Nelsonville, City of Logan has 3 readings. They all have their regular orders of business plus the additional 30 days on time at the end before you can execute, or before we can execute. And so it was important to get at least 2 entities early. And the reason for that has to do with some bills that come due in June for a nonprofit that a council of governments would not have to pay. And so somebody had to form it, but we didn't want an agreement that was unacceptable to all of the members before at least those 2 entities formed it. And I think I'm speaking correctly on that.
Any other questions from council members on the SORT Council of Governments? Yes, Member Thomas.
Just timing wise, we would, in theory, have a first reading next week?
Correct.
This would probably be August by the time everything's approved with the July break.
If I'm
Absences.
counting my meetings correctly, you would approve it before you went on break,
Before.
and then the 30 days would go into effect, and we'd be able to execute after that.
Any comments from elected officials or anything to add from the city administration? Okay, we will now open up this issue to public comment. We would appreciate hearing from anyone who has a new take or a new perspective on this issue and understanding what's in front of council today, these agreements, the agreement and the bylaws. And you were here last week. I'm going to remember this week to use my timer. So we will be limiting audience members to 3 minutes apiece, but please come forward and state your name and address, and if you belong to a group or not, and please sign in, and then the podium is yours.
Sorry. Write your name down.
I know what I'm doing.
An address and state where you're from. Sorry. Watch your words, though, just saying.
My name is Joseph Brown Walker. I live at 19 East Carpenter Street in Athens, Ohio, apartment 219. One of my main concerns about this whole situation with the recycling thing is a lot of OU students and like college students that are here anyways won't abide by that rule, because most of them, they just, from my experience living in the inside of Athens for as many years as I have, they're just going to throw their beer cans and bottles and everything else wherever they want anyways. So like the point of doing that is irrelevant at this point, because college kids are just going to do what they want to do anyways. So it's kind of, yes, I like to recycle myself and stuff, and I recycle cans for money and stuff like that, but like I want to do this, but then I don't, because I'm like, if we clean up what we're trying to clean up and they just come back next fall or whatever, or anything, and we get this approved and stuff, they're just gonna come back and do what they want with our city anyways. Like, they're just going to come back and dirty it up even if we do try to clean it up. So the ones of us that actually care about our city and approve of this, the kids are just gonna come back and destroy what we've been trying to build up to this point. And it just, I think if anything, when it comes to the kids, if we pass this thing, we should make it something to, like, if the kids don't clean up after themselves and they want to be slobs and pigs, then we fine them. Because there's no point in doing this. Excuse me. In my opinion, there's no point in doing this and cleaning up for the ones of us that want to clean this up and want to make it look better. There's no point in doing this if the students are just going to come back and break everything that we've built and they have no consequences for what they're doing after we've tried to fix it, and they come back and destroy everything, and they're just going to keep doing it knowing that they don't have any consequences after the fact what we just fixed. So I think if we do this, there should be a consequence for them.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My name is Melina Miller. I live at 25 Graham Drive. I've been here plenty of times before. I've just returned from almost 2 months in Los Angeles and other parts of California. You can only imagine what kinds of recycling problems they have compared to our little end of the world. But as a member of Athens Rethink Plastics, 3 of our members went to the high school the other day and met with Mr. Ryan and some of his students who have become the friends of Athens Rethink Plastics. And we watched a really pretty depressing but interesting film about recycling and what happens in the United States of America and other parts of the world, but mostly here, with our recycling. I've read at the last minute today some of these letters from Chrissa and from Solid Waste District and so forth. My concern with I really encourage you to become a member of the COG, because I believe that the recycling efforts that we make here locally are so important. We all know the truth about recycling, and that is that a large portion of all these plastic containers never get recycled. And that film showed exactly in the countries of Malaysia and Indonesia, where I've been before and have seen firsthand, where all this glut comes in, and these poor people have no way of managing it at all. That's why it ends up in the oceans and the streams and so forth. But I think that we spent a lot of money, I don't remember how much, building that recycling plant on Poston. It has functioned so well. It has, I think that we've done a really reliable job of recycling as much as we possibly can through AHRC. And I think that joining the COG would be really terrifically beneficial. I do not trust any of the goals that Rumpke has for their recycling. I'm now hearing that it's going to go to Newark instead of Columbus, and then perhaps be melted down into further plastics. And, this is just not recycling, folks. It isn't. It's just more plastic and the production of more plastic. So I think there's some really positive things about being a member of this COG, and I certainly hope that you will see it that way and join. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to speak my regular speech now. I'm Jane Forrest Redfern with Athens Hawkins Solid Waste District. Some most recent developments, as many of you probably know, the solid waste district is charged with developing a 15-year solid waste management plan. After the last 18 months, the policy committee, which Mayor Patterson is vice chair of, came to a resolution of figuring out financing and moving forward with the solid waste management plan, which will be going out to public comment this summer. Some of the decisions that committee made was that raising the rates at the landfill or generation fees will impact residents all over the district unequally. So we have, in the discussion, we decided that a way to sustainably move the COG as well as the district forward was to institute a $12 per improved parcel fee for every improved parcel in the district. That will generate some $750,000, which will help cover the district's expenses, which are not much, and over $400,000 will go to the solid waste, will go to the COG to underwrite the cost of recycling in the district. This is allowable under the Ohio Revised Code, and I believe it's equitable for everyone to pay $12. If you come to one of my recycling days, you can get rid of tires for 50 cents a piece. That's a pretty good deal. But it will also enable us to move forward and to be able to lower the overhead. So with this parcel fee over the next few months, we will be working with AHRC and the COG to purchase the recycling center so that the recycling center, the MRF, the compost facility, and the land will be preserved for the district and not be sold to the highest bidder. It will always be there, and the COG will then be able to operate it on behalf of the district and on behalf of the members. So it was a very thorough discussion of the policy committee, and these are folks from environmental to business people to elected officials at all levels. And so I think I'm very proud of them for making this decision, and I think that it will really set the pace for the COG moving forward. If we own the infrastructure, we can maintain it, and we can underwrite some of the improvements, and I'm speaking of the district, that is, using that parcel fee money, and then that way we will have, that facility forever at our, for our use. It will also help bring down the cost, and it will also give us the opportunity to, over time, be able to expand services that the COG and the Solid Waste District wants to do moving forward. So I really urge you, I'm sorry that the city of Athens and the city of Nelsonville and the city of Logan are not joining us in the initial filing, but we welcome and we invite you to join us because all of us together working will make a better region, make a better solid waste district and circular economy, and create lots of jobs. So I invite you, and I hope that you'll adopt the resolution to join the COG and join us in providing services as well.
Thank you. Would you take a question?
Oh, sure.
Member Cloudfelter?
I really like what you said about buying the land and the MRF and
Yeah.
having that in ownership of the solid waste district. I think that's a really smart approach. For the members of the community that just went, wait, $12 more of taxes? I'm just curious, will that be an annual fee?
Yes.
Or, okay, good, not monthly.
Oh, no, it's $1
Okay.
a month for the year
Yeah, great,
on their taxes.
yeah, okay. That will go over more easily.
Yeah, and it's improved parcels. Like I have a plot of woods with 10 acres. It doesn't have, maybe has an old chicken coop on it, but I don't think the auditor is gonna say that's improved. So it's improved parcels, ones that have homes on it. basically.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, sure.
Any other comments from the community?
Yes, I have a question. So what is this? I know it's
Remember your
about-
name?
Yes, Brittany Anderson, 19 East Carpenter Street, Athens, Ohio. Put down.
Thank you, Brittany.
So if we don't sign this petition, what are they gonna do? Or whatever she has, you get to sign.
So remember that we don't answer questions. You're welcome to comment on the subject matter, but we're not here to answer questions.
Okay, cool. Never mind then. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you.
I need to finish my thing, sorry. Oh, horrible writing.
Hello, Lorraine McCosker. I have a mask on, sorry. I was exposed. 59 Elmwood Place. So I'd like to thank the work of the people who have been working towards the Council of Governments and the administration for considering this, and certainly council. And I think it's really critical. I think some of the critical points that Sam brought up tonight, that these will be cooperative entities, that they're economies of scale, that it's a regional approach, that we would be building commonalities if we indeed had a COG and we were contracting with SWIRT, and we would be bolstering economies. And what does that say to you when you're just thinking about that? That's the model that we see when we're thinking of Athens, Ohio. Are we thinking of large-scale monopolies in our community? No, we've been working very long and very hard to have a local economy. And I think this is like a really critical juncture in order to move forward. Throwing away waste or recycling is something we do daily, and we pay that entity that's dealing with that. And I think it's really important that we consider that, and really, I hope that you will support the COG. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Christine Hughes, 461 Siegel Lane, but I have a business in Athens on State Street. And I just want to say that I really appreciate all the care that has been taken to begin the process of cooperative management of solid waste in our city and beyond, and the community, which is supportive of AHRC's continuation. I think you probably have heard we've begun a fundraising effort in order to keep AHRC's assets and staff afloat while this COG process plays out. You can find it right on the AHRC website. You can donate directly. My strong concern is that the city, even if it joins the COG, has not committed to contracting for services with any sense of urgency. And I just want to reiterate that without the members of the COG, specifically Athens City, contracting for services, the assets, the funds raised by the community, and all the work by all the negotiating parties and all of the advocates that have come before you and written you letters will go to waste. So I hope that we'll be able to come back and be really proud of the work that is being done here. Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Okay. Hi, my name is Joe Radwiney. I live at 2174 Swart Road, Albany, Ohio. But I work in the city of Athens, so I had to write y'all a check recently. Most of you are familiar with my experience and passion advocating for and working on recycling. So first I'd like to thank you all for being here. The committee of the whole isn't as whole as it sometimes is. But I appreciate your service, and I especially want to thank the mayor for his due diligence and taking that extra step to get expert legal eyes looking at this. And I've read it, and it, you know, to answer one of your questions, it is slightly weighted in that cities kind of have more of a say than all the villages have to kind of get thrown in together, and the townships as well. But the more sane voices, the better. So I think it was a hard-fought thing or hard-crafted process. But thank you, especially, again, General Stone, for kind of taking point on keeping this thing moving. Well, you know, my TARDIS is broke. I wish we could have done this a year ago. So time is of the essence. I think you've heard enough from enough of your constituents to know that I think it's the will of the people that the city of Athens join the COG. Let's not get too complicated here. It's a separate issue who the city contracts to haul trash, and maybe even who the city contracts to haul recycling. That's kind of up to you all. But tonight what we're talking about is the city of Athens joining the Council of Governments. And at $500, that's a deal. I think you guys are paying a lot more for some of these other COGs you're involved in. And it's a step towards sustainability, which is a watchword in our community. So as I said last time I was standing here before y'all, you know, it's obvious that this is a good thing to do. You don't need to go through 3 readings. I've seen emergency proposals passed on silly things like Halloween, and like the students and the seasons, they come and go. So I would encourage you to expedite this process and join the COG ASAP. I also want to thank the people that came way before me and some of my mentors that helped get the grant funding. Like, this has been going on for like 30 years to get us, 40 even, to get us to where we're at. Okay, right now you're the stewards of a precious resource we've developed, and I support the idea of maintaining local control over local resources so that we can manage our own trash. Thank you all.
okay, thank you all very much for coming. We will be moving on to the next item on our committee of the whole, Union Street closure, Juneteenth celebration. And I believe Member Spelness will take this on.
Okay. As chair of the Transportation Committee, we try to do this. I'll wait till everybody who wants to leave so you can concentrate. Just a minute. Okay, let's restart with transportation. As probably most of you know, one of the things that we need to do is to discuss closing streets in the uptown area for special events each year. So we have changed the process, so we try to do them all in one fell swoop. However, there was one that jumped up and didn't come to our attention till just now, and that is the Juneteenth celebration. And I thought well, not me, everybody, thought we ought to add that. So That's the only addition to this, amending this ordinance that we'd already passed for this year. And I think it's certainly an important thing we need to do.
And the date and the location, members, be honest?
June 22nd, and it's the East Union Street from Court to University Terrace.
Thank you. So I believe the university has used that same location for the International Street Fair or other events, and that's, Mayor, please.
The planners have changed the actual span of what's being asked for being closed, and now it's to College. So Court to College Street, which is advantageous to the city in terms of traffic flow through that area, east of what was going to be closed. So now it gives us other options. So it's not going to be all the way to College Terrace, University Terrace. It's going to be to College.
Okay, you heard it there, and now we can move on. Thank you.
Is there any comments or questions from council members regarding this change to the street closure ordinance? Other elected officials? Any comments from the public? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, non-union benefits, amending the promotion section. We have Director Lucas here tonight to introduce this to us. And I believe you did a handout for everybody too, if you haven't seen that.
Thank you.
Ron Lucas, Human Resources Director, City of Athens. So I want to talk about a proposed change to the non-union benefits ordinance, and that is section 22, which is promotion, lateral transfer, and demotion of new hires and current employees. So let me try to explain this best as I can how it currently works. If we hire someone that doesn't currently work for the city, we can give that person up to 25% through a pay grade without going to city council. If we want to give someone more than that, we have to come to city council. If someone gets promoted from a pay grade to another pay grade, currently what is stated is that person can get a 5% raise or the bottom of the new pay grade to which they go to, whichever is higher. And then we have a little bit of leeway. We can go 10% through the new pay grade, and anything beyond that, we need to go to city council. What this proposed change is reflecting is that we match both a person coming off that we hire outside of the city or a person that we promote within. Because what we have currently, how it's set up, how it's written, is it's sometimes limiting to be able to convince someone to take a promotion knowing that they aren't going to make as much as someone that we can hire outside of the city. So we just want to make it match. And that's what this says. So for full-time, the yellow highlight is the proposed change, and I believe Debbie sent out the language. A full-time, three-quarter time, or permanent part-time employee's new pay rate shall be the greater of the minimum of the new pay grade or 10% higher than the pay rate the employee was promoted. And at the request of the appointing authority, a promoted employee's new rate of pay may be set not to exceed a rate of 25% through a pay grade. The new rate shall be contingent upon the employee's qualifications, education, and experience. And then it continues on. No promoted employee will be assigned to a rate higher than the maximum of the employee's newly assigned pay grade, which I don't believe we've ever done. So anyway, that's the proposal. Would be a change to the section 22 A1.
Thank you, Director Lucas. If I have this correct, and the way I believe it was described to me, you described to me, was a city employee who we'd like to incentivize to take a promotion, right, could actually quit their job, their current job, and then get rehired as an outside employee at a higher rate than if they got promoted from within.
That
theoretically.
could happen, yeah.
Right, theoretically. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I appreciate you identifying this and making it better. Are there comments from the Committee of the Whole on this proposal from, yes, Member Spillnes?
Yeah, I just think that I commend you in identifying this inequity and drawing it to everyone's attention, because it would be demotivating if people realized, and obviously some people have, that this would occur. So, thank you. I appreciate it.
Other comments or questions? City administration? Other elected officials? Anyone in the audience like to speak to this? Thank you for being here, Director Lucas. Moving on to our next item, one of the city's favorites, I know, soccer field lease and soccer netting. We have on our drives the full language of the lease agreement with the state of Ohio. And to remind the public, this is for land owned by Ohio University next to the Ohio University driving range. Some may think it's part of the range, but it's really to the east of the range. And the city reached out to the state of Ohio to lease this land for additional soccer fields for the local soccer community, both adult and youth soccer, as well as many local Ohio University students and other groups, church groups and other groups who utilize city fields to play the great game of soccer. We appreciate the city administration working with the state of Ohio and Ohio University to get to the point where we have an actual lease. And I might just ask Director Stone to remind us about the timing. This has been signed by certain members of the state, but it needs additional signatures. Is that correct?
Sure. Thank you, President Kyle. The document you have in front of you has been approved by the Department of Administrative Services, which typically is the last time that language changes, at least the way that they've purported it to me. However, it does still have to be approved by the attorney for the Office of Management and Budget and the attorney for the governor's office. So they advised me not to seek your approval until all of those approvals were done at the state of Ohio. However, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that they're not going to change it, and if you approve it in its current form, the worst thing that could happen is one of those two lawyers changes something, and I have to come back to you later and seek an amendment to it. But I think we should go ahead and do it, so once that goes into effect, I can sign it.
Appreciate that. Any questions from the Committee of the Whole on the lease agreement for the land next to the Ohio University driving range? Yes, Member Clodfelter.
Is there any pressure to do this quickly for the soccer community for this season?
So there's a second half of what I'm getting ready to ask you, and that second half has to do with money that we need to do the thing that's going to allow the Ohio University to sign the lease. So insofar as approve the lease document quickly, no. But when it comes to the money that I need to build the nets that are golf nets, and they're not soccer ball nets, they're golf ball nets, that is something that I do need as quick as this body would see fit to pass it. And I have a tale of woe to tell you about that when you're ready to talk about it. So.
Other question about the lease? Yes, Member Thomas.
I would just thank the city admin and everyone for the work on this. The soccer community is very excited. Whenever we get there, everyone is very excited, and they appreciate all the effort of wrangling property from OU. Flatter land, better grass, very exciting.
Member Spillnes?
So, a couple questions. Well, first, after our recent flooding and seeing what the soccer fields look like, and it's not the first time, obviously, I'm certainly glad that this is going to happen. But I am curious, and maybe I missed it in here, but how many soccer fields can actually be put there? Do we know? I mean, I'm assuming you know.
2 for sure. We're thinking we might be able to angle a third small pickup field. Sam does all our measuring. President Crowd is all our measuring,
Okay,
sorry.
Sam? I guess that question's for you.
It's very official.
And so, and then the other question is, you brought up the money, and we have to ask, based on recent conversations, is this going to be money out of the general fund that we really can't afford to spend right now, or is Arts, Parks, and Recreation money or something?
If you're ready for me to delve into the money, I can delve into it. And so to answer your first question, it's not general fund money, so.
I assumed it wasn't, but I wanted to hear it out loud. Thank you.
Right, yeah, it's not general fund money. But I can get into the specifics if that's okay now. So right now, we've spent to date $62,000 roughly on what we call Project 355, which is the soccer field improvements. And that has all been towards, a little bit towards the drawings related to the nets and working through the iterations we had to with Ohio University to get them to approve the nets, but mainly for the drainage. That is to the installation of storm sewer and area drains to pick up what that particular portion of the field that held water can allow it to drain away. So that's what we've spent to date on this. In the budget, I placed $97,000 to deal with these nets, and we made the determination pretty, few months ago, a couple months ago, that wasn't going to be sufficient. And so you have an ordinance running through right now to add an additional $40,000, and that's ordinance 03724. And that would put us up to $137,000 to go towards these nets. I cannot, for the life of me, find an entity that will even remotely touch it for that. We talked to a couple different entities that set poles, and they said that we're not even in the same ball field, same soccer field, same football field, whatever you want to call the sport. We do have a proposal from Sourcewell, which or a Sourcewell vendor. Sourcewell is a collective purchasing program that the city is a member of that allows us to direct contract for amounts greater than the $75,000 bid threshold. And that collective purchasing contractor has quoted us for $273,000 to install the nets as are required from Ohio University in order for them to be willing to sign the lease. And so what I'm going to propose is increasing the amount of money that we're asking for in 03724, or doing a separate ordinance that appropriates additional funds from both the 273 fund, which is the rec improvements levy, as well as I'm going to seek, and the mayor and I discussed this, $100,000 out of the CAP fund. And the reason for that is I don't want to completely drain the 273 fund that's specifically there to do improvements to recreation. We know at the end of this year that the pool is going to require some significant improvements in the lap pool, specifically due to spalling concrete. And so we're just unsure about what that cost is going to be until the end of the season. So I just don't want to drain that fund. And so I think this is an important enough project and an initiative for the city. This allows us to secure that lease for 25 years if we build these nets, that I think it's an appropriate expense for money out of the CAP fund in addition to the 273 fund. And so at the end of the day, all in, we will spend roughly $340,000 getting these fields up to an acceptable status to allow Ohio University both to lease it to us and allow us to play there due to the drainage that had to be installed. So that includes the drainage improvements as well as the net improvements. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Member Thomas?
Happy to defend that a little bit. In our adult league only, we do pay into the city Parks and Rec. Half of our fees from our entirely volunteer league has spent $29,000 paid into the Parks and Rec. So we are the only large entity using city property for sports that actually pay into the city, unlike some others in the general area of where we are. And that will continue, and we hope to grow that. And we also fundraise and work with the city. But we are participating in fully encompassing of the entire community, from 16 to 70.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Member Clodfeller.
My question has to do sort of with your last sentence there. I also am under the impression that people from very young to rather more mature participate in soccer, but I wonder if perhaps any member of council would have an idea of how many people participate in our community soccer.
I just want to check, you said rather more mature, and you looked right at me. You didn't look, I don't know who you were looking at down here.
I don't have the numbers on me right now without pulling on a computer, but I do have those numbers.
Okay.
We have typically 150 to 200 adults, which is the adult league. We also have probably anywhere from 15 to 25 playing pickup through just organizational local pickups. That's grad students, undergrads, adults.
15 to
And that's
20
just-
individuals?
Yeah,
Oh.
like every night of the week. We
Oh,
could fill most of these
on any
fields
given night,
on
yeah.
any given night.
Okay.
And we have people coming from out of Athens to pay into our league to play because we've organized it, and it's a very welcoming and open community. Yeah, so we have 3 games every Saturday morning. If you want to come watch.
Or
Give us
play.
some space. Or
Remember
play,
Claude
or play. A lot of mature people, folks down there. I'll put myself there.
Member Spells.
Okay, so, and that's great, and I know people that play soccer, I don't, but my kids did, never mind. Anyway, but I was kind of drawn to your comment about that the soccer community are the only ones that pay into the city. Like, is that voluntarily, or, I mean,
We use the registration software to be enveloped under the insurance also, so that our teams are waivered and covered, which doesn't increase the cost of the insurance as far as I've seen. But yeah, we pay in to have a registration system that allows it to be organized, but then on the back end, we're doing all of the organizing and work. So registration and lining and mowing of fields.
that's great, but it does sort of beg the question, what about those other sports?
That's a
I
great
mean,
question.
why can't we ask them to contribute in the same kind of way? Aren't they? I mean, I know I did when my kids were playing all kinds of sports. I'm
Mayor,
just curious.
yeah, there's more to this. Please.
Well, let me share, and then I'm going to turn it over to the director. Is that, as Councilmember Thomas was saying, you know, when you use that city app, you're now paying, and you're also paying, covering insurance and things of that nature, where other sport users of the public space are self-insured. They insure themselves through their registration and whatnot, as they're using other city assets to play their sport, whatever that sport might be.
Okay, well, kudos to you guys.
Other questions on this item from the committee of the whole? Anything to add, Mayor?
I would just like to add one last thing, and that is, and this kind of dovetails on what something that Councilmember Thomas mentioned earlier. We've been working on this, Councilmember Crowell, and you know that. We've been working on this for probably 5 years now, just to be able to access this property because of the demand from the soccer community here in Athens. When you drive down 50 and look across the river, you'll still see we call them the Walmart fields. Those fields are still being used. Nets are down there. They're playing. Youth soccer is another thing that wasn't mentioned. That has to be every bit of 75 to maybe 100 youth that are playing down there. There's soccer, there's football nets on pitches that are by the public library in between the river, and that's our property as well. And also near the new fire station headquarters. So there's a demand out there for proper soccer pitches. So this is just another step in that direction that we've been working on for years.
And we also organized an over 40 pickup night, so, you know, anyone in the room that wants to jump in, we'll get you out there, Sol. Members, Pioness. I always forget that.
Treasurer Thomas, anything to add? Members of the public, anything to add to this question? Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda. This is an appropriations, I'm sorry, it's amending a transfer amount in ordinance 28-24. I believe the auditor caught this, this amendment that is necessary. We had amended the 2024 appropriation ordinance by $140,000, and the correct number actually should have been $160,432.70. So this is an amendment to ordinance 28-24 from 140 to 160, 432-70. And this is the amount to make an interfund transfer. Any questions? Yes, Member Clodfelter.
For the benefit of the public, could we say what those things are for?
So the auditor's not here tonight. I'm not sure the treasurer has the details on this. This is, yeah, that's an excellent question, Member Clodfelter. It seemed to be a clerical issue.
It was just a clerical issue, and this was the ARPA funds that Director Stone just pulled it too fast. But it was for what were we moving all around for?
Was it the fiber network for computers?
No, this goes to this was for the armory, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
That's correct. This was just using up the last portion of the ARPA funds to put it into the armory project. And we were just cleaning it up. It was originally 140. There was a little bit left over. We were trying to just combine it all. And I know the deputy auditor, when she went to enter it into the system, realized that she just had some numbers wrong. You know, when you go through it all, you realize, oh, we missed something there. And so it just needed to be amended so it matches, you know.
And so with this adjustment to the amount to $160,432.70, will that zero out our ARPA funding?
That is the last of the ARPA funds.
Yeah, it's been zeroed out.
Yeah.
But this will be completely, not a penny left.
Well, this is just correcting an error in the language, so yes, I mean, it's already been cleared out.
Okay.
We've used it all.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Treasurer Thompson. Other questions from council, city administration, members of the public? Thank you. And I believe the final item on our agenda this evening are appropriations. This is, you will see an ordinance next week amending the appropriation ordinance 130-23 to appropriate from the unappropriated balance the sum of $9,000 to the garbage fund 760, and this is to cover administrative fees. These are internal fees that are taken from each of our accounts, and I believe this got missed. I believe the auditor found this, or maybe the deputy auditor found this, that we actually hadn't applied this administrative fees from the garbage fund, so this is simply making sure that that happens. Any questions from Committee of the Whole members about this item? Yes, Member Clodfelter.
Where does the $9,000 to cover administrative fees end up going specifically? Does it stay within the city?
Yes.
Okay.
It's to pay for internal services like IT and other things that happen, billing, other things that happen within the city.
Okay.
Other questions? Yes, Member Spielness.
Does it have to do with garbage?
So this is taken from every account
Okay.
to pay these internal services. We just happened to miss the garbage fund.
Okay.
So it's taken from water, sewer, police, everybody.
Okay.
And it just 760 got missed.
If I recall on the massive spreadsheet at the beginning of the year, I think the deputy auditor said somehow it just got deleted out of that one category. And when they went through it, they realized, oh man, that one got deleted out somehow, so they just need to fix it.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? Anything to add from the administration? Anything to add, public? Thank you so much for attending. That concludes City Council this evening.